And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a live broadcast from the ROV Falkor. We are positioned just offshore the Great Barrier Reef in the Coral Sea. This is a continuation of our voyage of exploration, studying the seamounts, submarine canyons and reefs of the Coral Sea offshore northeast Queensland, Australia. My name is Scott Nichol from Geoscience Australia, and it's my pleasure to welcome you this afternoon to our afternoon dive, where we've just reached the seabed at a depth of 913 metres below the sea surface. It's another beautiful afternoon on the Great Barrier Reef, or the outer reaches thereof. We've got a calm sea. The waters are glassy up top, sun is shining, so it's a great day to be doing this voyage of discovery into the deeper depths of the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park. We're sitting, as I said, it's at 916 metres below sea level, and our objective this afternoon is to take a bit of a different tack with our canyon work. Up till now we've been focused on a canyon system which incisors all the way up the continental slope and into the shelf, where we have canyons connected to the shelf and to the lagoon of the Great Barrier Reef. This canyon's a bit deeper. It's a bit different, I should say. It's smaller, shallower in its extent. It's what we call a slope-confined canyon, meaning that it's limited in its extent in terms of distance, incising up the slope, and stops midway up the slope at a depth, in this case, of around 800 metres. So we're interested in comparing this canyon with the other canyons which have that connection to the shelf and to the Great Barrier Reef, and just to test our hypothesis that these canyons, these slope-confined canyons, sometimes also called blind canyons, may be less influenced by the shallow waters of the shelf, may be less connected to those waters, and may have a different seabed biology associated with them because of that. We really don't know. We're here to find out. So as we just settled the ROV SuBastian to the seabed, one of the first activities we'll do this afternoon is to collect a push call.
So Scott, we were thinking, do we wait till we get into the floor of the canyon for the call?
Yeah, let's just
still coming down the side.
Cheers. Okay, thanks. Before we do that push call, we're just going to traverse along a little bit further. We've actually landed on the lowest side of one of the canyon walls, and we really would prefer to collect a sample of a push core on the canyon floor. So looking ahead, you can see into the distance the seabed is sloping away from the camera into deeper water. So we're just going to track down that for a ways first to see what we've got. Welcome to those joining us online live. Starting to jump onto the chat there, so that's great to see you all again. Familiar names. Great to see return fans coming in, regardless of the time of day where it might be for you. Water temperature down here at the moment, 5.2 degrees Celsius at 920 metres. So even though this is a bit of a shallower, smaller canyon, it's still getting down to those cold water depths, and so we'd expect to see that influencing the biology to some extent.
This is very steep.
This is very steep. The pilots are calling it out. Yeah, okay, let's do our best just to follow it down, Cody, and I understand that it's hard to keep right on the seabed and keep the vision clear. Okay, still settling down as we drift down this quite steep slope. It's at the northern wall of this slope-confined canyon. Clearly 100% cover of soft sediment. Typical array of fish, small fish, skimming around. Seabed. Yeah, you start to see that evidence of biotubation, those small burrows from this distance. And our typical sea cucumbers, polythurians, those purple guys down the bottom. Okay, something falling to... Okay, there's something just drifting, one of our holothurians swimming past. Just watch him drift by. Seen quite a few of these, or most dives we see a couple of these guys. They're the same sea cucumbers we see sitting on the seafloor. ROV pilots just trying to keep us closer to the seabed as we drop down. So okay. Do we have a coral down there? Yeah, we'll just zoom in if I... No, sorry. No, I thought I was mistaken. We'll just push on. There goes our shrimp. Thanks. So just on screen now, we've got the 3D view of the seafloor for this location, looking from the deep up to the shallow, with the edge of the Great Barrier Reef and the top part of that image. So give you a sense of, as I was saying, this canyon does not connect to the continental shelf. It just stops around about 500 metres water depth. So these are potentially younger canyons because they haven't carved their way up as far as the other shelf-incised canyons. They may be younger, therefore they haven't had the time to evolve as much and to enlarge. Is one possibility. Or they may be carving into perhaps a more resistant rock type. I'd go for the younger as a preference at this stage. Still millions of years old though. So, g'day Jeremy. Welcome to Jeremy sitting next to me.
Hello world. Yep, very steep. No corals can settle and survive on this drastic slope. All you have is sediment falling down, and if a rock were to fall, it would keep falling. So that's why there's no hard substrate for corals to recruit onto. So you don't expect to see much coral life when it's this drastic of a slope.
Yeah, it really is steep.
That's a long way down.
What have we got coming past here?
Oh,
Another Holothurian.
getting good at that control, huh?
Oh, you might say.
It's pretty intuitive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Up is down and down is up. After that, you got it.
Yeah. Amazing creatures. Just their flexibility. Wish I was that flexible. Contortionists. Cool, these run away. Right, what's... Yeah, it's kind of hard to keep your reference here, but we're flying down a steep slope. Should hit the bottom before too long.
Oh, we're still descending.
Yeah, well, we'll come down one side, Jeremy, and with the objective we'll then hit the bottom and then run up the other side.
At the bottom, we might see something.
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
Your reference going downhill?
Horrible feedback.
That's not a good plan. It puts our go-to where the ship is at, so although probably it's just playing out in the mud up there.
Especially to get that high current.
So we don't want to go
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Yeah, this is us dragging our ROV
Yeah.
on this stuff. So this is the lowest as you can get down.
Okay.
You're going to have to, we're just dragging. So that's why it's going down. That wasn't very good.
Yeah, okay, good.
We can't just turn those down.
No barrel rolls.
No barrel roll. That's one. That's an ROV.
So we're more settled now.
So are we looking at a flat floor?
Yeah, I think we are now. Yeah,
It's disorienting, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're coming at an angle.
yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Some folder.
Got some sort of fish.
It's we're leaving a trail on the seafloor.
So we're pretty much down on the canyon floor now, which is a good thing.
Maybe it's scratching an ish.
It's a fish trail.
It's fine. You know what it's doing. Crazy stuff. But that's why the fish is doing that.
I am the fish again.
What sort of fish is that one, do we know?
I don't know, but it's exhibiting a pretty odd behavior.
It's current because the ROV's like this.
It's swimming straight and it's just that steep of a hill.
So the current in the steepness of the hill. Wow. Oh. Is that a fish? Yeah.
Again, this is rolling down slope. See, you've actually knocked a bit of mud off and it's rolling down slope. Why is you making little avalanches here? This is a new turbidite.
Fabulous geology that you're practicing.
The Nichol turbidite.
Yeah.
No thanks.
The next ROV that comes by here, look at this interesting pattern.
Yeah.
What can make this?
Still running along the edge of this steep slope. Hoping to settle into its regular stream soon.
No, I mean, you're 138 here. It's going to be this current. Local property.
So what's that current doing to you?
It's like 3 knots up there.
3 knots?
Rip my built on my home.
Okay.
But you're off
Okay.
Hi. Zero it back.
Yeah. Pushing us back. Yeah, I got it.
See
Okay.
it there?
Yeah, okay. Okay, so we're dealing with a really strong current here, folks.
It's higher than us right here. It's actually hitting on floats.
Okay.
That's
So we're on the ebb tide again.
So 3 knots.
3 knot tide.
let's see. So half a knot is that long. So for 2 knots.
Oh, 2.5.
Interesting. Okay. So this looks like a deepish $980 here. Okay. So once you guys are, if you're happy, we'd like to take a push core or something.
You want to be at the bottom of that, right?
Yeah. Still coming down?
Yeah.
Okay. Still going down.
If you look right here.
Yeah, okay. Still going downhill. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scott, if you look up there, I'll put the inset in for you.
Okay. Thank you.
So that's
Right. Yeah, okay.
streaming out live.
So we're running down to the canyon floor a bit further. Righto. Yeah.
How much is that?
There's a question about the maximum depth of SuBastian. It's 4,500 meters.
80?
Yeah. On the track we're doing right now, actually, the rest 2 meters.
And the white line that was trailing behind SuBastian was the path it took to get to where it currently is now.
Perfectly straight line. Bigger than
You got it.
Ah, there's something there.
Jelly.
Oops. Lost that guy. Here we go. Got him. Let's get back. Bobbing around a fair bit. Hopefully Dougal probably won't be online, but
Is this a Tina
what have we got?
Yeah.
It looks tentacle-like, the cilia down the side, and they often have these two trailing tentacles. There's something inside it.
You want to zoom out?
Yeah.
I'll bring it back.
Thanks, man. Okay, nice. Okay, we can push on. We're just tracking ourselves to the deepest part of this canyon. 40 metres horizontal.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. 40 metres horizontal to get there. Target site. I think I owe these guys a beer today.
Medusa.
He's just come in at the right angle. Yeah, good, some pretty nice trails across the seabed, but from our resident infauna. Trails wandering around all over the place. Feeding behaviour, perhaps. Certainly no corals down here, Jeremy.
No corals. It's a sad Jeremy.
This is a barren canyon so far, coral-wise. There you go, victory.
Check the core.
Yeah, anyway, that's
Pretty good. Here?
Yep. So just going to settle SuBastian onto the seabed now and set up for a push call.
No, I got, you sit down, we'll start rolling.
How about we do this? Sneaky.
Okay. We've just anchored ourselves. So 993 metres for this site. There comes out the core sampling gear. So those who haven't seen this operation before, this is just a simple exercise to mechanically push a perspex tube about 25 centimetres into the seabed and give us an undisturbed sample of sediment.
No, not on top of that.
You don't want to do that?
We will take that after this though.
Can we scoop the metal scoop?
It'll come up nice if you do want to.
It'll come up
I
nice.
used to sample them like that, yeah, because they're really fragile.
Give it a go.
Right.
Give it a go.
It'll break if you use the scoop.
Okay, alright.
Yeah, okay.
It works really good with the
Thank you.
core because it'll stay in there.
Okay.
So we're going to carry 2 for 1 here. We'll get this guy. Real good illustration of the precise driving that these guys do with these manipulate arms just to target that spot.
So these are xenophyrophores. Xenophyrophores,
What do we know about these?
they're a foraminifera, they're a deep water foraminifera, they're made by protists, single cell organism, and they're typically found in deep waters, organically rich sediment. Of course, we could tell that just by looking at all the other material there. These little white skeletal parts, they're pteropods with a silent P, P-T-E-R-O-D-S, and they're a planktonic gastropod. They live in the higher water column. When they die, they drift down on the seafloor, and that's where all these little white shells are. And they have lots of different forms. Some of them are tusk-like shapes, and they're called tusk shells. And others have, they look like little stars, but they're typically smaller than your fingernail, and we can see them as these little white skeletal parts in amongst the mud on the seafloor. But we're lucky to grab one of these xenophyrophores. It's a foraminifera, and it makes these sort of ball-like skeleton on the seafloor. It's basically a lot of pieces of mud all joined together to make these complex round structures. They are fairly fragile, so I don't know how much of this one will be able to keep intact by the time it gets to the surface. Yep, it's a 4M.
Another, one of those guys. If you see one within reach, that would be cool. Yeah, there is. Okay.
They're anemones. Yeah. Okay.
Anemones.
Yeah.
Oh, right down the thrust numbers. Bring your 4 hour bombs on. Dig in and pull in. There's another one there.
Can we quite reach that one?
Well, I'm just going to drag it.
Okay.
Drag it ROV forward with that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Just going to reposition the ROV here to get it's just beyond the reach of our arm. We need to get a soft sediment sample at every site we go to, and we typically do that when we arrive. We thought we'd just run down the side of the steep wall of this canyon and get onto the flat area. It's pretty interesting. There's all of a sudden we're seeing lots of what looks like anemones, but we're getting these xenophyrophores, which are a foram, a benthic or seafloor dwelling foram. And they are quite delicate.
And they're very large. I mean,
yeah, about the size of a baseball. You know, you could easily hold them in your hand. They tend to be fairly fragile. We'll see what we can get what we have intact when we get it back to the surface. That's pretty
Well
good.
done. That's
Yeah,
nice.
that's nice. Yeah, well recovered.
that'll preserve at least till we get it into the lab.
Scott and Rob, there's a question there about how much is mapped in any given day. And I think on a quick calculation, I think we got about 90 to 100 square kilometers last night.
Okay, yeah, to answer that, last night every evening after our sampling operations, we switch into seabed mapping mode using the multi-beam sonar gear on the Falkor, which gives us around 12 hours of mapping time in these water depths, so that's giving us about 90 square kilometres overnight.
Yeah, it's a very big piece of the deep Great Barrier Reef we map each night, and we've been here for 3 or 4 nights now, Scott.
Yeah,
so we've really mapped a big section from about Ribbon Reef 3 past Ribbon Reef 6, and then right out into the deep water beyond 2,000 metres depth. So from the edge of the Great Barrier Reef, which is in shallow waters around that 40-50 metre mark, right out 2 kilometres. So it's a fairly big chunk that we've mapped. Very high resolution, so the grid maps that we make are about 10 metre resolution. You know, about the size of your average lounge room is the pixel size. So we can get very, very detailed pictures of the shape of the seafloor, and that's how we actually plan these dives. We do all the mapping first, and then we put that into it's like a computer model, and here's a picture of it up here. So we look at these 3D maps, and then we decide exactly where we're going to put the ROV. We know the depth that it's going to, the target start depth, and when we expect to pull it off the seafloor. So there's no guessing here. We have a really clear picture of the 3D shape of the seafloor.
So now we're going to start leaving the canyon axis, the deepest part at 992 metres, and start our ascent on the other side now. Yeah.
And then,
yeah, thanks, Jason.
Yeah.
As we fly along, we've got all these circular arrangements of small holes on the seafloor. They certainly have a biological origin, no question of that.
But what's
the creature?
Yeah, what's making it is a real mystery. We've seen it quite regularly, and all the expeditions we've seen out in the Coral Sea in the deeper parts. But look, we really don't know, and we have seen circular patterns of holes, sort of depressions, and we've seen sea stars that sit up. They kind of push themselves up on the tips of their arms.
There's a bit of wood down there, I wonder.
but these actually look like burrows, like holes on the seafloor. I'm inclined to think they're made by worms of some kind, but the fact that they're really distinct round patterns is very hard to try and work out what they are.
Is that wood?
Yeah, I'm just wondering.
Should we pick it up? So we can
It's something definitely woody-like right now. Is trying to get in as close as possible.
Looks like a bit of palm frond. You know, they've got the
It's organic. It's not crystal.
palm frond is curved on the inside. Yeah, it looks organic, like a bit of vegetation.
It's as close as we can get. Yeah.
And it's got a little urchin or something on top.
Yeah. Okay. So wait,
bring it up or just
probably not. Yeah.
Want to see what it is?
Yeah. Give it a nudge. See what it is.
Oh, it's pretty small.
It's tiny. Yeah. Very frail too. It might just fall apart.
I'm keen to find some whale bones.
Yeah, I've seen those.
What's the chance of finding whale bones down here, Scott?
Fairly reasonable, actually. I mean, they won't. I've encountered them before on marine surveys off Eastern Australia. Fossilised whale bones, seagrass.
Wow. Okay.
I'm going to put it in the bio box now they've had it.
It could even be like the file shell. You know, we have these, file shells. They're a bivalve. They're vertically upright when they're living. It looks, I don't know, it looks like one half of a file shell.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think these animals those file shells live in these depths.
Yeah, please. I think that's what the bio box one.
Yeah.
I'll put it in either C or D.
Yeah, let's put it in D.
We did see a file shell, a living file shell, just a day ago, I think.
Right.
It was standing upright, and you could see the animal inside. They tend to be embedded in mud, but more in shallower waters.
Righto. So this, shallow water species washed in.
Yeah,
Remains
possibly.
thereof,
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks, Sharon.
Yeah, the German term is called Lebensspuren, which is German for life traces, and you can go into the scientific literature and there's lots of papers written about Lebensspuren.
Someone's written it there for you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I've actually written a paper on Lebensspuren out in the Coral Sea. Of course, we're trying to solve the mysteries of the various patterns and shapes on the seafloor. Some of them are really, really obvious. Some not so obvious. If you're watching the beginning part of the dive, there was a fish lying on its side, skimming across the seafloor and leaving a trail behind. Now, unless we actually saw the fish doing that, you would think it might just be a sea cucumber that's done it. But in fact, it's an entirely different animal. Fish doing some very strange behaviour. But yeah, these patterns, these clusters of circular burrows, don't know what they are. But any thoughts?
Transect.
There's Scott.
Transect, the circular ones, yeah, I mean, there's debate in the literature even, I mean, between fish doing it and I know I've worked a little bit on burrow traces in the sediment record, and there are cases of these also preserved, so they're not a recent behaviour in terms of the geologic record, so they go back into the sediment record, the geologic past.
There's one coming up on the right here.
And they're always this sort of dimension too.
they're decent size, you know, we're talking, 20 centimetres across. So what's making, a regular pattern of circular holes about 20 centimetres across?
Yeah. And you'd like to think it's some of the creatures we are seeing on this transect, whether it's those small fish. Why would they do that? It's curious.
Yeah, so I remember visiting Japan, and there was this strange circular pattern of holes, but they didn't have burrows in them.
Okay.
They were just imprints on the seafloor, and it was the mating behaviour of a particular kind of fish near Japan, and it would put its head down on the seafloor, and then it would do this kind of cartwheel imprint.
Yeah.
And it was quite a mystery for a long time until someone actually saw it doing it. And I remember seeing it in a Japanese aquarium, pictures of it. But this is a little different. These are actually holes on the seafloor.
Yeah, that's the weird part about it.
Yeah.
I've seen cases where stingrays in intertidal areas will settle on the seabed and jet and blow into the sand to kick food up, and that leaves a perfect impression of the stingray.
What is going on here?
Yeah, at least he's carrying something.
There's a shrimp holding something, like a bit of a sponge or.
Cool that out. Check that out.
What is that?
That is neat. Unless it's just that it's stuck on it. Why would it be
bitten off more than it can chew? Oh yeah, okay. Could be eggs. Could that be eggs? Just lost it. Oh, there it is. See if we can get it in focus. Of course, shrimp actually, like female shrimp, they will carry their eggs like in a pouch directly underneath their body, but it's usually a lot closer.
Oh,
let's let it go.
right?
Well, no, it's food.
It?
Definitely food. That's, yeah. But it's bitten off more than it can chew.
It's settling down and very hard to track.
There it is. There we go. It's not giving up yet. We're on our transect.
Yeah.
These are 500 metre transects, so we can't deviate too much. But,
Sorry, Alex.
there's plenty to look at here. On our last 500 metre transect, we had a Dumbo octopus drift, and you probably know that we stop for Dumbos. We got something coming in now.
So we have Alex Post in the control room here working on software called Squiddle. That
Wow, this is
really
interesting.
important part of the work. She
What's
doesn't like
that?
it when we distract off our 500 metre transect.
Is this a ctenophore? Very dark coloured. Has that kind of ctenophore lobe shape about it. It's quite big.
So probably not going to get any rock on this one.
No. Yeah.
Outcrop, I suspect, which is fine.
Yeah, so this is very steep-sided, but what we call slope confined. It's canyon. So the canyon's not actually connected all the way through to the Great Barrier Reef shelf. And it's one of the reasons we're here. We want to test this kind of idea of the different types of canyons. So over the last 2 days, we've been sort of investigating two canyons that are directly connected to the Great Barrier Reef. And if anyone was following us yesterday, we actually went right up into the shallower parts, into the mesophotic zone. Saw lots and lots of coral up in those shallower parts of the dive. This is actually quite deep, and it doesn't even have a really obvious head of a canyon. It doesn't open up into that kind of classic amphitheatre shape at the top of it. It kind of just
peters out.
it just comes to a narrow point, and it's just all smooth on the upper continental slope until it gets to the Great Barrier Reef. So this is quite a different kind of canyon, and it's pretty obvious, isn't it? So we're not seeing this kind of coarse rubble that we have seen in those other canyons, nor are we seeing any really exposed bedrock, any hard rock where the canyon floor suddenly goes up onto the sidewall. So it's been pretty much muddy, sandy all the way through. but it is definitely it's soft sediment heaven. If that's what you want to eat. There's plenty of animals here doing that. And you can see that from the Lebenspuren traces on the seafloor. Sea cucumbers, lots of shrimp, plenty of fish around too. Yeah, and tracks and trails everywhere. But we're it looks like we're probably going to be heading up the sidewall soon, so which means that so it's going to start steepening. So we came down the northern sidewall. We've crossed the flatter canyon floor, which was only probably not even 100 meters wide.
Yeah.
And now we're starting to climb up the opposite slope. So, and here's an inset. You can see this blind canyon that we were talking about. It is fairly steep. We came in on the northern side, dropped into the sea floor, the canyon floor. You can see the white trail, which is our navigation line, and now we're starting to climb up that southern sidewall. So we don't expect to see the sediment changing too much. It seems to be a very muddy or sandy, muddy floor, but you never know what surprises.
You never know.
We've had lots of surprises. Even today there was a some kind of shark or stingray right near the end, quite a big one. Very, like a shovel-nosed ray or like octopus. a guitar shark. We saw, octopus. We saw a Dumbo octopus, and it was just in this muddy environment, and similar depth to what we're in now. So, you just got to keep your eyes peeled. There's something. This is how addictive it is. For us here on the ship, we're in the control room, and even just ducking out to grab a cup of tea, you go down into the galley, into the mess area, and there's big screens all over the place, so you can never really miss the action. All right, we got an explorer saying a 6-gill stingray. Cool, very good. That sounds like.
Is that the ID from earlier?
Yeah, it sounds like one of these weird deep water chondrichthyans, the shark and stingray group of animals.
Nice. Okay.
Hey John, can you go food out somewhere? Anywhere.
All right.
It's a better track now, guys?
No.
No.
We're not going down that much, but it's good stuff. Be shielded from that north of it.
Yeah, okay.
Hard phones on. Yeah, ready phones on.
Other than that, it's
But as soon as I get to about
Here's another one of these fish. Oh no, sorry, it's a big shrimp, decent size. So it's over 10 centimeters long. Sometimes from an angle they look a little bit like a fish. We saw a really odd looking fish. Could have been like a roughy doing some weird sideways swimming motion. We've got a rat tail here on the right. Ooh, what's coming up here?
Field of urchins, perhaps. Gee.
Oh, this is interesting.
We can't stop them.
Yeah, a cluster. Looks like a cluster of urchins, and they're all good size. Yeah, a good 10 centimeters across.
You can see their crawling traces.
Yeah,
That's neat.
And there's looks like a roughy or something right in the middle of them. Yeah,
Stop them again?
We'll just hover, yeah, please. Yeah.
just
That's
pause.
Transect.
Yeah, pause transect. Yeah, we're in the middle of our 500 metre transect. We don't usually stop if we can avoid it, but this is pretty interesting. Yep, urchin party all together. Because echinoderms, urchins are known to congregate like this, and I can think of cranithorn starfish on the shallow Great Barrier Reef. They can form these huge aggregations of thousands, and they eat the coral. In fact, they're actively managed on the Great Barrier Reef where these outbreaks occur. So we do know that urchins, for instance, in temperate waters, they can cause these great urchin barrens grazing on the rock and grazing down all of the kelp. So it is a phenomena that's known all over the world. But here we have on the seafloor an aggregation of urchins, and they've got really decent spines. Yeah, over here. And what kind of fish are you? Anyone ashore? Is this a coffin fish, or is this a roughy? Might be a roughy. I've heard people might be called a slime head is another term for them.
What I like is we've seen their crawling traces.
Yeah, so when you're doing this Lebensspuren story, you're trying to attach the pattern on the seafloor, the trail, to the animal, and here we have the animal. And you think of how much of the seafloor is completely turned over by these animals wandering around. Yeah, they're all decent size. Yep, thank you. Coffin fish, not a roughy, but it doesn't seem to be too perturbed by having a whole lot of spiny urchins hanging around. Or maybe it's looking for food. I mean, this is another thing. Animals. I think of goatfish, for instance, when they're tearing up the seafloor and digging. There's always a congregation of a school of other fish hanging around just to pick up whatever they can find. Oh, there's spider crab. Just moving off. Another good sized spider crab. Yeah, so maybe that coffin fish is sitting there waiting for the urchins to disturb whatever it is it's going to eat. Yeah, okay, that was really good.
Okay. I'll get that bit of focus. There we go. A bit sharper.
Yeah, now in some of the previous ROV dives, we have seen these really distinct, or like bulldozer-like trails on the seafloor, and we found urchins in them too, haven't we?
Back onto our 500 metre transect.
Starting again. All right, so cruising along here.
Things have gone quiet for a bit. Interesting that white chocolate.
And Dawn's just correcting my pronunciation. Thanks, Dawn. It's Lebens. I'm getting
Lebensstern?
not Lebensstern. That's heavy love traces.
Oh, okay.
Not life traces.
No worries.
Sorry, not German, but of course. We love looking at them anyway.
Well, you could have them. Yeah, let's stop that.
This transect's going a little quick actually. We're about halfway forward.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Oh, that's white. A bit of clay kicked up by biodiversity, I would say.
Yeah, but it's quite obvious, isn't it? Like as soon as anything fresh brought to the surface, there's you can see the white from underneath. Decent sized shrimp there. Yeah, really good size. There we go. Fish. Big. Looks like a big rat tail.
Dirty.
So we're heading up. We're about halfway up the southern sidewall of this this canyon, this blind canyon. Oh, what have we got here? Another swimming sea cucumber.
Yep.
You know what I'm really intrigued by? We keep coming across them. I don't think they're disturbed by us because they were in the water column before we even got here. But you know, even though they're crawling across the seafloor, it looks like they just, you know, if they need to move anywhere, you know, like a decent distance, they just throw themselves up in the water column and then would settle down. So it's not us that's doing it. They're just naturally drifting across the landscape.
So this is really steep now.
Yeah. Okay. Now we've seen this before. Do you see these stripes? These little vertical stripes. This is caused by gravity, where some bit of sediment's been dislodged, and they basically go vertically straight down the sides of these of the valley walls of the canyon, and they leave these little gullies behind. So it just gives it's an indication of just how steep it's becoming. What do we got here? Is this a bit of soft coral, or maybe sponge spicule? We have these deep water sponges which have quite a long stalk, and when they die, lots of animals colonise them, like zoanthids. We've collected a few on this expedition. Or it could in fact be a soft coral of some kind. Yeah, so we're now climbing up. It's 890 metres on the seafloor. Oh, okay.
There's an edge that failure.
Yeah. Oh, this is an echeuron worm. Okay, just on the left, that long proboscis. So the main animal is actually inside that burrow, and this is the proboscis, and they can be quite long, metres long in fact. But they have this classic. Don't stop.
Keep
Still
going.
on the transect. We might see more of these.
Yeah.
So the main body of the worm is in a burrow, and it puts out this proboscis, and the proboscis actually captures any any organic material drifting down on it, and then they draw them into their mouth. So when they're disturbed, they just retract that proboscis. We've seen them meters long. I've never seen the actual animal, the main body of the animal. I've always seen the proboscis. So typically in deep water, muddy environment, that's where you find that animal.
Switch depths or something.
And we're getting that kind of ridge effect where it's dropping into eroded gullies either side. But so far this canyon has been kind of what we expected, isn't it, Scott?
I think so, Rob. It's been pretty uniform.
Yeah, we did.
Continuous sediment cover.
Yeah, continuous. No real change in the valley floor, although there was a lot of animal life there, a lot of bioturbation. But it just seems quite different to these shelf-incised canyons that we've been exploring over the last couple of days. And there are these really weird clusters of round holes again, these burrows. I'd really like to know what they are because we see them everywhere. But
we're getting the pause transit that should catch us.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So the ship is
Just going to reposition a bit.
Yeah.
We're dealing with a pretty strong current again this afternoon. It's that stage of the tide where it's rushing out.
Oh, you can see this the mud. See how steep it is. The mud's fallen off the ROV, and it's now skidding down the hill.
There's another turbidite.
There we go. Yep, turbidite. There we go. Another underwater landslide. Oh my God! We've just destroyed the edge of the Great Barrier Reef.
Bit dramatic.
No, just joking. We've been talking about how active this margin is. There is lots of evidence for underwater landslides, but you wonder how they might be triggered, right? There's lots of different ways to trigger a landslide.
Indeed.
So we can talk about like cyclones, like the energy forced by a cyclone. There's a low wave base. You could actually literally thump energy in the water, and that can trigger a landslide. Earthquakes is another example of how you can trigger landslides, and I think probably in this part of the world, it's a fairly stable margin, but we do get earthquakes here. But you need some kind of preconditioning, right? You need soft, unstable sediments, which is what we have here, and then you need it to be oversteepened, and we also have that here because it's really steep, and the canyon keeps eroding away and making it even steeper. And then all you need is an earthquake, I guess, big enough to jolt, some sediment loose. And there are some really big examples of landslides all the way along the Great Barrier Reef, particularly this northern section. So we have lots and lots of canyons, but in fact at the very base of them, down probably 2,000 metres, we see lots of underwater landslides. We can see the scarp faces they leave behind, and all the debris blocks that have been the remains of those big mass transport. That's as the sediment has collapsed, it just moves further out into the deeper water. And at the finer scale, we're seeing what we call turbidites, and these are finer sediments that move like a wave down the sides of these canyons. And there was, I guess, a bit of an example of one there where a little bit of mud was jolted loose from the bottom of the ROV, and it just keeps sliding, as far as the gravity will allow it to. So just allowing the ship, the Falkor, to catch up with the ROV as we move up the southern sidewall of this canyon. But if we went down, here's the inset, you can just see this canyon. It doesn't go all the way up to the edge of the Great Barrier Reef shelf. It's only, it stops part way up the continental slope. So we hypothesise that it's not going to have coarse sediment in the bottom, that may have come from a reef, because the reef is actually quite a few, several kilometres further back. And there is no head of canyon, right? There's no big amphitheatre at the top. It's just a very narrow incision into the seafloor. That vertical depth within the canyon is about 300 or 400 metres deep. So it's incised about 300 or 400 metres into the continental slope itself. And now we're climbing up the southern side wall of it. Yeah, we're not sure about this colony in front of us, but we have picked up samples of sponge spicules, dead sponge spicules with zoanthids clustered upon them. And we've got Jeremy here. Have a look, Jeremy.
Well, we could zoom in and we could see if it's a sea pen that's alive or if it's been taken over by zoanthids. So if it's zoanthids, we'd expect the individual animals to fuse, their tissue to be fused into one.
Getting our focus there.
Maybe just try autofocus. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say it's just a sea pen. We've collected a bunch of sea pens, so we don't need to go collecting it now.
Good for us to move on.
Yeah, thank you. Yep. Hey, here we go. And we are back on transect.
Thank you.
So the zoanthids, their tissue between their individual animal bodies would be fused. So I don't think it'd be fused directly to the sea pen, if it were a sea pen, but rather they just fuse to themselves, forming one large colony. But I'm not sure. We've collected a few true sea pens and a few that are probably zoanthids that have colonized the sea pen, so we'll be able to look at the differences when we get it back in our museum.
It's bad. Is it? Oh, yeah. Yeah. We got really, really bad currents.
So what did you decide to do?
We're going into it.
Just changing the ROV crew over here. A lot of concentration required for these long transects. So got Adam and J-Rod in the hot seat.
You sure? Sorry for the transect. Just flat rocks.
No rocks yet.
No, we don't expect any rocks there. So we'll just cruise it up. Get it done.
Okay, and off we go.
Yeah.
Must be getting near the end, I think.
Yeah, how much?
Oh, the blue. The green. It's the green dot up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're just cruising on our 500 metre transect. We're nearly at the end here. We've got some burrows on the right-hand side. We think these are giant isopod burrows. And there's a really decent hole there. Oh, is that a spider crab coming into view?
No. Oh, it might be something.
Gee, that is... Oh, something went in there. Did you see that?
We're transiting.
Yeah. Really decent burrows here. Because we have seen them colonised by other animals, shrimp and brittle stars. They're making use of the habitat, this freshly dug habitat as a home. It's always good to see an isopod in them, though, and we have seen them on other dives where the actual isopod has been digging them out. So we're pretty confident that those are giant isopod burrows. Probably Benthanomus is their genus. Yeah, we didn't get a good look at it. I thought it looked like a spider crab, but it just disappeared very quickly. Yeah, it could be octopus. We saw an octopus in the other dive this morning, and whatever it was, it disappeared pretty quick, just like an octopus would. Okay, people saying maybe octopus. It could be right.
Oh, really? For the
Yeah, it just moved far quicker than any crab could.
right. Yeah, makes sense.
There you go. You introduce yourself there, Scott.
Oh, there's my name on screen. G'day, folks. That's a new addition, I think, to our broadcast.
Yeah, just
all good. Yeah, having a good time here.
Noni says it was a big octopus. Fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's sweet, yeah. Definitely.
We're also taking screenshots ourselves, but we'll have the benefit of looking after the dive a bit more closely at it.
Yeah.
Looks like an anemone.
Bridge ROV.
Okay.
How's it going up there? I'm going to continue to slowly bring you back. So, okay. Yeah,
if anyone was watching this morning's dive, That was 386. It was a really spectacular deep sea octopus on it. We got a great look at it.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, that didn't work. The head's too big.
Take control, conscious.
Well, clear.
Roger.
So we've got Chris and Adam here, our ROV pilots. We've just changed over. We're nearly at the end of our 500 metre transect, and we can have a bit more of a browse around after that. Yeah, this morning's dive was 386. We're currently on dive 387. So if you want to have a scroll through of this morning's dive, you'll see both a jumbo octopus and a really deep red, other kind of octopus. It was, yeah, but we really had a good look at it. There's a hermit crab.
That's cool.
Yeah,
right,
good.
That's good.
Yeah, but what's it got on? What type of shells it got on its back? We don't see a lot of gastropods of that size down here. So, you know, where did it get it from?
Stolen from above.
Stolen, yeah.
You know, cables going towards the ship, but you're still okay.
What angles is that, Ben?
Probably about 20 degrees or so.
Is it worse or better than when we were standing out there?
It's about the same. It goes in and out.
Okay.
It's closed and walks back. It's closed and walks back.
Gotcha.
I'm 139 away from the boat, so
Oh.
it's stretched out.
Yeah.
It's interesting. These fish, they're head down, and then they actually dived into the sediment. This one here that's drifting.
is it
It did.
floating behaviour?
Yeah, that's what it just did on this. Where all that sediment is. It just shot down into the sand, into the mud. And we got Emily.
Small fish at this. Yeah, hi Emily.
G'day. Emily's been following us for quite a while now.
Over there in WA, I think still.
No, I think you're in Brisbane, aren't you, Emily? Working with EOMAP.
Okay, sorry, I'm behind the times.
Did you bring that?
Oh, why not? You guys are eating them all. Take them away, eh?
I'm so hungry in here.
We've got sea cucumber coming out. It looks like the crest of a ridge here, and also some fairly big burrows. But a few fish. It's always interesting to see the behaviour animals.
Okay.
We just saw that fish. Oh, here's another one. See, they dive into they're diving into the mud. They've got this head down posture. That's quite interesting.
Might be getting worse, actually.
I'm trying to go for it.
Okay. Well, I'll leave you.
It's getting worse.
So just follow that.
Worse?
Yeah, he's coming back.
Okay, possible.
Yeah, so to answer Emily's question about how we analyse this, so this is 4K vision that we're seeing now, and we're taking screenshots every 5 seconds. So we get a really nice, clean, high-resolution still image every 5 seconds. And that's put into some software called Squiddle. We've got Alex in the Squiddle seat, and she is annotating identification to animals that we see in each 5 second video. We also have an event capture software where anything interesting that pops up, we can take a screenshot or frame grab, and then we can write anything we want there. But every screenshot has a timestamp and a position. These are stored automatically on board, so we can both look at the 4K vision but we've got two different ways of looking at the still images to do the analysis with.
Thanks, Ben.
Yep, I agree. We're in Australia, it's got to be a wombat hole.
Yep, that was the one.
Yeah, as far as the still images go, this is still a bit of a challenge. I mean, the file sizes tend to be huge, and when we're talking just the hundreds or if not thousands of individual stills from every single ROV dive, the challenge is not where how they're stored. It's easy to find memory databases that can hold all these files. The challenge really is to the sharing of it. Now, this is something we're working on quite hard here in Australia, where we want to we need to be able to archive all the imagery, both video and stills, but also to share them. And we've got people working back in Canberra at the moment who are trying to work on the IT infrastructure that we need to be able to share all these images and video online so that they're immediately available and searchable. So yeah, I guess the short answer is we're working on it.
Still inboard on ours?
Yeah, it's definitely inboard.
Oh yeah. Does it look like there's tension on the wire, Ben, though?
Oh yeah.
Okay. We still got 1000K on it, so it's alright.
Yes, I agree. Google Drive is an option for sharing, though it has limitations. So, for instance, if we were to put these thousands of photos in one folder, and you went to try and download them, it would first want to try and zip them up, and before you know it, you're trying to download gigabytes worth of files. So I think we need to be a bit more clever than that. Like I say, we're working on that IT infrastructure now to try and solve this sharing issue. But of course, all files, all data that's collected on with the Schmidt Ocean Institute is open access to be made publicly available. And anyone coming on board here has to agree that that's the case. And so we're doing our best here to try and to share all this data. Okay, so this is really interesting. We've got ourselves a decent set of burrows here.
We're on the transect.
So close to the end.
We're near the end of our transect.
Yep.
We can come right back. Need to sit down and let us.
Yeah,
We've got the ship trying to catch up with us. But if we just peek over the edge here, we've got ourselves a fish, and just off in the distance, it looks like we've got a crab of some kind, a good sized crab too. But look how these burrows are all together. I'd say they're probably all connected. I still think it's either a wombat, but my money is on a giant isopod. There we go, look at that, what a beauty. Big crayfish.
We all stop the ship and then we try to get the delta.
There he goes out of it. Oh, look at that. And see his claws? See how they got the claws right open?
Bridge ROV. Pause you there again.
Can we... Oh, I just wonder if we can track him.
I'll zoom out. Okay.
Oh, way.
Good luck.
Wow, look. Any fish getting within claw distance of that's not going anywhere. Look how sharp the teeth are along the edge.
Barely in the field of view there.
Yeah, we're just allowing the ship to catch up with us as we're moving along this transect.
Really strong current affecting this dive.
That's really spectacular, isn't it? Amazing. Okay, so we have to leave it behind.
So the problem is we run into problems, so I'm trying to fight it ahead of the ship, but the ship's back on us, which puts us in a bad position because the infield starts going over the back of the ship. So it's kind of like worse than influence.
Yeah, okay.
Well, let's do the 5 minute. Just what's that? Last 5 meters. All the transect.
Alright, back on transect. Sorry.
Okay, off we go. We're nearly at the end of our 500 metre transect, where we're trying to maintain a standard height.
Almost
Yeah.
the crest of a ridge here, aren't we? Rob, sort of
Yeah.
dipping off left and right.
Yeah, yeah, and the 3D mapping that we've done before we got here is pretty close to what we're seeing.
500 metre transect complete. So we can
Okay, we're going to have a bit of a wander now.
a bit more of an explore and within reason with the ship. Yeah, 10 past 5. Yeah.
I'm gonna just bring in that delta. Yeah, there's
780 metres. Oh yeah, thanks. We'll take a sediment core where we find a decent spot to land.
Hey Ben, you got me?
Yeah.
Yeah, just keep an eye on that for us. We're going to set down and do a core and it'll just slowly feed the ship back towards us. It's probably going to angle in a little bit, but as long as it's not like crazy.
Roger. Okay.
We've still got 900k on the wire, so that should be enough to.
Roger that.
Okay.
Here.
there behind. Almost at 90. We're gonna go down that ridge, we'll get 90.
You like a 70, don't you? 70.
65 to 70 would be ideal, but
Yeah.
considering the conditions, it's pretty practical.
Okay.
Yeah, the other thing is when you're fighting it this hard, you start heating up all your oils.
Yeah.
Water and stuff.
Okay.
Good thing is we're deep, so it's
Yeah.
pretty cool, but
Yeah.
when it's shallow.
There goes our sea cucumber. We're just laying down here to get a sediment core at the end of our transect, and the sediment allows us to. We can do quite a lot with it. For a start, we look at carbonate content so we can judge how much limestone comprises the sediment. We look at grain size analysis, so
Walk on down.
how fine or coarse the sediment is, and we can separate them out and make a like a graph, a histogram of grain size. It's always useful. We can look for any other interesting elements within it, organic material, so the organic carbon content. So there's a lot we can do with that sediment once we've got a push core.
Kirsty's going to show you guys how to do the core, right?
Yeah, good.
I think I used them all up this morning. You were there for it.
I was there. I had him. It was good.
I don't want to double dip. Oh yes, this would be our
it's on core.
core. Oh, good one. Oh.
3 years of sitting next to you.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the reminder. Nothing for you.
Nothing for me. That's all right. That's about nice early night.
Yeah, yeah.
Get back to it
Good to have
tomorrow.
a bit of a break.
Yeah.
That's the end.
Pretty close, yeah. 780, that's pretty good. See how much of the core we can contain as it comes out.
Yeah, sometimes it just falls out the bottom, doesn't it?
Yeah, we've lost a couple, partially at least, but we've had pretty good hit rate. And these muddier sediments.
Oh, it's pretty good so
That's
far.
a good one.
Yep.
Always a satisfying moment. Bingo.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris and Adam.
Just one or two.
It'll take a second.
I reckon.
I reckon. Yeah, thank you. We've got a
So
vote.
good at it. Yeah, that was a good one.
What's that again?
Since you're so good at it.
You did such a good job.
Sometimes you just want to.
Yeah. Well, come on, what do you got for me? Ben, how are we looking out there?
Looks good, up and down. Nice. Up and down.
That's better to hear.
Straight up and down? Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Bridge, ROV.
Go ahead.
Hey, Jason. I'm going to get you to keep sliding back there, 0.1, 0.2 kind of thing.
Yeah.
We're just going to keep an eye on that.
Crash.
Just settling down. Look at that. It's interesting to watch the crashing down for a night's sleep.
Towards the boat kind of thing. So we're just picking it up slowly and we'll have to slide back.
Okay, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. It's like a slow motion collision, isn't it?
Ah, doubting octopus. Jason in Michigan.
Oh, it is unfortunate. Don't worry, you'll get sick of us yet.
I just have one thing to say to you guys. You're lucky James not here. Let's be like, you all pretty suck.
You don't have to walk away.
Nice. That's a great recovery. Yep.
So it definitely changes colour down
Yeah,
core,
it's
doesn't
that
it?
redox layer, the redox horizon.
So you got it's oxygenated at the surface because it's bioturbated,
Biotubation,
right?
exactly,
Yeah.
It's pointing inboard, but slightly only.
Okay, he's on the move again, so we'll just
Yeah, it should be okay.
Need more height. But
It's a nice view of the manipulator arm for everyone.
they have that function.
There we go. Bingo. 2 from 2. Okay. Thank you.
Alright.
Thank you. We can, what have we...
Look at you.
Let's go for another 10 minutes, guys, if that's fine. Sounds good. Call it. Okay. Yeah. I think we've, another 10 minutes or so, unless we encounter something unique. I think we'll probably...
That giant squid we've been looking for.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about the plan over the next day there, Scott?
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Yeah, so we're looking forward for the next several days. We've got another, what's today, Wednesday? We've got about another 8 days on the voyage before we have to head to Brisbane. But tomorrow will be, well, overnight tonight, we're going to head north for about 4 hours transiting and enter into a new canyon system further north. One of the more northerly parts of the Ribbon Canyon network. And tomorrow morning we'll be doing a dive which includes the plankton videography and sampling as we go, with Dr. Dougal Lindsay streaming in from Japan to commentate live for that dive. So we'll spend a few hours at the start of the dive. It'll be deep, so dropping down towards 1,000, 1,200 metres. Looking at the plankton and the jellyfish on the way. Then we'll hit the canyon floor and do another canyon dive for the rest of tomorrow. So one dive tomorrow, and then after that we're going to mobilise and head out to the Queensland Plateau on overnight Thursday to get ourselves out to Osprey Reef, which will be quite a new set of environments and quite a different flavour, I expect, for the canyon work that we've been doing over the past week. And we'll be out on the Queensland Plateau visiting a few reefs for the next week. That's the broad game plan. We'll keep you tuned as we go. The weather forecast looks really good, maintaining calm conditions for us. Probably until Sunday, Monday, where it looks like it might get a little windier, but nothing too crazy. So everything's sort of working in our favour right now, Rob, to keep it ticking over. It's kind of good.
The weather has been sensational, you know. It's like a mill pond out there, you know, beautiful blue seas, you know, really clear skies. You can see the mainland, Australian mainland. It's about 60 kilometres further west from here, and then you can see the mountains. Ribbon Reef 4 is probably the closest reef to us, and that's about 4 kilometres west of where we are now, but you know, this is a real deep environment.
Hey Ben, how's it looking?
Still okay.
Is it looking?
No, it's still okay.
Oh, okay. He's like, it's looking.
Yeah, so we have another big canyon dive planned for tomorrow, and then we'll depart the Great Barrier Reef margin and head out into the very clear, pristine waters of the Coral Sea Marine Park, and our destination is Osprey Reef, which we visited in the first Falkor trip out into the Coral Sea, and yeah, it's got a spectacular atoll. They call it the jewels in the crown of the Coral Sea Marine Park. So we're going to be having a good look at it, and again we're hypothesis testing, so we want to actually do a dive on the windward side and also on the leeward side, and both sides are quite different to each other. They've been previously mapped by the Falkor, but we're going to add to that mapping data and, you know, do a systematic survey up both sides of Osprey Reef. Oh, there's a nice picture at the back. So this is,
Oh yeah, okay.
yeah, this is the view from the stern. And in fact, I think it's looking actually at close towards the mainland. You might just be able to make out the mountains on the far horizon. Yeah, there we go. We're just adjusting the camera view. Yep, you can just make out the mountains. Yeah, that's the Australian mainland. That shows how close we are. The Great Barrier Reef lies between the mainland and us, of course. So I think the closest reef is about 4 kilometres away.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and we've been really lucky to go from these deep waters right up into the shallower parts, the very, very edge of the Great Barrier Reef. So, swimming sea cucumber.
On the 72. I'm surprised in the number of those, but maybe I should be.
Yeah, lots here.
There's lots.
Yeah, lots of food for them. I would like to quantify this. Like how would you do that, Scott? How would you?
That's a good question. Count them. I guess our transects help us do that a bit, don't they, Alex? To when we see holothurians on the seabed, like we've got 2 right now. So when they are captured on our imagery, and if they then intersect a sampling point on that image, they then get scored and included in the statistics.
And it's just a matter of scaling up the number, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
it is, yeah.
if you have an idea of how many you pass, over a particular distance, and then you start looking at the surface area where this mud, their favourite habitat occurs, then you can kind of do these estimates of the numbers. Then you can start going to another level, like, the turnover, the bioturbation, or how much food they might be to sustain a population of that size. So, I guess these images really, it's just the start of the science questions. We would take these images back and start trying to answer these scientific questions, and it really goes to the heart of what we're doing here. We're trying to understand better the deep Great Barrier Reef, the geology, the origin of the reef, and of course all the animal life that lives, the modern marine life that live on it now. So, trying to answer questions.
That sea cucumber just excreted on that.
Yeah. So just lightened his
a bit
load.
of entertainment.
Yeah, you can see this is holothurian poop, right? These little like toothpaste squirt. It just squirted it out as it got airborne, as it got up in the water column.
There's two things we've seen like that. We've seen the crawling traces from the urchins, and then the fecal traces from the cucumbers in live action.
Yeah, and this is an interesting one here. It's like a coil.
Yeah, very distinctive. Okay. I reckon that's a wrap. Thank you, folks. I know that was hard work for the pilots. Okay, as we just left off the seabed, we'll be signing off for today. Thanks everyone for joining us for Dive 387 on the Falkor. Brought to you through live streaming. It's of course recorded online to play back later and have a closer look at bits and pieces. But thanks for coming along, and look forward to speaking to you all tomorrow when we dive again on the Falkor. Bye for now.